Hey everyone, welcome to Unqualified Critics. I'm going to be talking to you today about electric scooters, specifically three levels of scooter for three different price ranges: budget, mid range, and then premium, to help you decide which is best for you if you're thinking about getting an electric scooter or just interested in them in general. Now, over the past year, I've reviewed three scooters that I think are pretty good representations of their budget level. First was the bare bones version, the Ion Voyager, very much a low cost scooter that you can currently pick up for under $200. Next, I reviewed the GOTRAX XR Ultra, a solidly mid level scooter fit for, I think, the bulk of electric scooter buyers. The XR Ultra is, as of this recording, $370 new on Amazon. It fluctuates between $350 and $400. And finally, the UScooters Booster Sport, a very high-end scooter that has almost everything: speed, range, but above all, this scooter is about portability. The Booster Sport is $899, and I have a $100 off coupon that I'll drop in the description in the pinned comment below. It's UC100 if you decide you want to pick that up. And if you want to pick any of these up and use affiliate links, just disclaimer, we do get a commission from that, but I'm going to give you guys my honest opinion on these three scooters. And part of the reason I'm doing this video now, there's a new model GOTRAX coming out that I'll be reviewing over the next month or so. And I'll be reviewing an even more premium UScooters scooter, the Booster GT, which is like $1,100 bucks. So it's a very expensive scooter. And so I thought it would be a good time to wrap up these mainstream options that I think, again, represent pretty nicely three different levels of electric scooter. So how do they compare, and which level should you be looking at when buying your own electric scooter? Let's break this down. First, the Ion Voyager is incidentally available as a prize at Dave & Buster's. Those are probably closed right now, depending on when you watch this video. But if you're into that kind of thing, it could be kind of a cool way to get your first electric scooter. I think there are about 100,000 tickets. I was surprised at its sturdy build quality, so I won this as a prize. Didn't think much of it, had done no research on the scooter, and honestly kind of expected it to be junk, but thought it was a cool thing to walk out of for some tickets. But it turns out it's actually built very nicely. It's quite sturdy. Its best feature is that build quality. The whole unit feels very substantial. It looks pretty nice too, with its array of vertically aligned LED headlights, very slick looking. It's a fairly portable scooter, pretty lightweight, and features airless tires, which is something that I like a lot because there's absolutely no maintenance you ever have to worry about. It's a simple package. What you see is what you get. All right, so for reference, I'm a 210-pound rider, and I never got over 4 miles of range on the Ion Voyager. We tested it with a 100-pound rider, a kid who got nearly 15 miles, and I think that's the best use case here. It's really for kids. There are electric scooters that are marketed specifically at kids. From what I've seen of those offerings, they're generally junk. They don't expect kids to be discerning consumers. This is a scooter marketed toward adults, but it's actually great for kids. I got 3.08 miles, and my average speed was 7 miles an hour. Now, some of that was uphill, but nothing you wouldn't encounter in, getting around town, or otherwise just very lightweight people. Now, if you are a kid, this is quite a serious scooter. It can meet real transportation needs for getting around the neighborhood, getting to your friend's house, but for anybody larger, for a full-size adult, this is just a toy. Zoom around the block. Expect that you're going to get 3 to 5 miles range and not really more than that. And you're also not going to be able to deal with hills well at all. Even a slight 5% or more grade is going to slow you down a great deal on this scooter. And I always think it's a missed opportunity for these entry-level scooters that they won't sell you an expansion battery pack that's going to give you a more practical use case of, say, doubling its range. As it stands, I can only recommend the Ion Voyager for young folks, but for them, it's a steal at about 200 bucks, which is roughly what this goes for. It's going to blow out those other kid-oriented scooters, but for adults, I don't really recommend this. All right, next up is the GOTRAX Ultra. As I mentioned, this is very much a mid-range scooter, but I believe it is a very good offering within that mid-range category. It's practical, it's very, very sturdy, looks nice, and has pretty decent range. If you're accustomed to the Xiaomi M365, which is what many of the Bird and Lime scooters are, then you're already familiar with this. It's quite similar in ride quality and general performance, although the M365 has slightly longer range. Now, there's no active suspension with this. This is true for most mid-range scooters, but it does have these large air-filled tires to soften the blow and a very large foot deck with plenty of space to ride comfortably at range. But the big claim to fame with the XR Ultra, as opposed to say the XR, which is $50 to $100 cheaper depending on when you buy it, is an LG battery. It's lithium ion, and it will get you an additional 4 miles of range on paper from the base XR. The GOTRAX website also lists different motor specs for the two scooters, but I've been told directly from the company that that's actually a mistake, and the only difference between these two is the battery. All that said, I think it's worth it to get a few extra miles out of the scooter. That 3 to 4 additional miles can be make or break based on where you're trying to get to and whether or not you're going to have range anxiety. Now, because the XR Ultra is most similar of the three that I'm covering to scooters you probably already know, namely those annoyingly omnipresent Bird scooters that were on every street corner until suddenly they all kind of vanished, I don't think there's a whole lot that has to be said about this one. The speed is governed at 15.5 miles per hour. So even if you're going downhill or you're lightweight, you could be going faster. It will stop you from going faster. Now, that's a good thing or a bad thing depending on your priorities. If you're worried about safety, this is a good scooter. It has very, very good brakes, a very efficient stopping distance. And of course, you're limited at that 15.5 miles per hour. So if you're putting someone on this, or you yourself, you're new to electric scooters, this can be a great product to start out on. You're not going to go too fast that you're overwhelmed, which is not true for the next scooter I'm going to cover. I think after the price drop, now that it's down to $350, $370, it's a very good value. This scooter is great if you want a solidly built, good looking, and decently performing scooter for getting around the neighborhood. This is not for those of you looking to commute or with someone who uses mixed transportation, meaning this isn't the scooter that you want to ride to the train or to the bus, because let me tell you, this scooter is very large. It does not fold down to be particularly small, and it's extremely awkward to carry. So this is not your choice for portability. This is your choice for transporting to point A and point B, as long as point A and point B are within range of 10, 11 miles. Last but not least, the UScooters Booster Sport by E-TWOW, E-TWOW. I actually don't know how to say this, but it's a company that specializes in extremely portable scooters that are very fast and very lightweight. The only authorized distributors for E-TWOW in the United States is UScooters. Now, there are, of course, faster scooters and there are longer range scooters, but I've still not seen anything on the market with this combination of power coupled with extreme portability from the UScooters Booster Sport. This beast only weighs 24 pounds. It folds down to be as tiny as possible, and it even comes with a carrying handle, or at least mine did, and you can buy it as an accessory if yours does not. This is the scooter for riding to the bus stop and then carrying it onto the bus, or tucking it under your feet while you're at a bar or restaurant. It really does fold down to be that small. And I know the shutdown has been dragging on, so many of you probably haven't been to a bar or restaurant in a while. But if you remember those or plan to go to one anytime soon, this is a good option. It's also extremely fast. I mentioned I'm a 210-pound rider. I easily reach 26 miles per hour on flat ground. I have a friend who weighs 165 pounds, and he has gotten the scooter to 31 miles per hour on flat ground. And after several months with the Booster Sport, I still cannot believe they get this much power and relatively quite a lot of range into such a small scooter. If you max your speed and weigh what I weigh, 210 pounds, you will get 12 miles of range out of this, and that includes some hills. But it's very easy to range max this thing by riding a little bit slower, and in fact, there are governors you can put into place. There are several different levels, I believe 4, of top speed governor that you can put into place, and I found a sweet spot for range is to limit yourself to around 17 miles per hour. Scooter looks good. It's fully featured with a color LCD display that displays a ton of information, including a very clear percentage based battery readout. So you're not just getting 1 bar or 2 bars or 4 bars. This actually shows 10 stages, each representing 10% of remaining battery life. And my favorite part of the scooter, I think, is the dual suspension, which I think categorizes this as a luxury tier scooter. Yes, it's portability first, but it's also pretty comfortable because that suspension is substantial. You get about an inch of travel up and down for the front and the back. But of course, there are always trade-offs with any electric scooter. So what is the downside? Well, I believe it's the build quality. Now, I assume because of the compact and light nature of this, that's what's driving it to not be as rock solid as the GOTRAX XR Ultra. I feel like this isn't a fair comparison between the two because the XR Ultra actually weighs about 2 pounds more than the Booster Sport, despite packing significantly less power and a smaller battery. But for $8.99 or $7.99 with my coupon code, I would like the handlebar stem to feel sturdier. Similarly, the foot deck is cramped for long rides. Clearly that is a portability trade-off, and they have the Booster GT that I mentioned I'll be reviewing soon with that larger foot deck, but again, you're getting a couple pounds heavier. You're about the same weight as the GOTRAX XR Ultra. The Booster GT is 26 pounds. So if it's important to you to have ride comfort, plenty of space for your feet, then you probably want the Booster GT. But if absolutely maximizing portability is your goal, then the Booster Sport for $7.99 is going to be a great solution. I would also dock this scooter for its torque. It leaves a bit to be desired. It takes over 10 seconds to get up to full speed on flat ground. The brakes are also not great. The electric brake is known to be one of the best for power regeneration of any electric scooter. So for range maxing, that's a great choice. But it really needs to be coupled with a disc or drum brake to quickly stop from that huge 26 mph plus that you might need to come to a stop on. There is a rear foot friction brake in addition to the trigger electric brake, and you're really gonna have to master using both of them at once. It can absolutely be done, but there is a learning curve. So the first few times you ride this, you need to be careful, and in all honesty, you should be wearing a helmet because you can get wrecked. Given that the foot brake coupled with the efficient electronic brake is perfectly workable and you can come to a stop about as quickly as the GOTRAX, I feel like I can nitpick because it just does not feel as precise or as safe and stable as a hand brake that's going to bring you to a complete stop quickly. Alright, so the UScooters Booster Sport, who is this for? Well, as I mentioned, it's perfect if you're a commuter who needs to hop on a bus or a train with a scooter in hand and you don't want to worry about knocking folks over in the process. Or if you like to keep your scooter near you when you're not using it, kind of tucked under your feet or under your table, whatever it might be. It's also great if you just want a toy to zoom around your neighborhood, get some butterflies in the stomach. You really will get enough speed for that. And I've tackled very steep hills that I estimate are about 25 degrees in steepness without much problem. Now there are faster and certainly torquier scooters out there, but they are substantially heavier. And so this can be a good compromise if you want an all-around scoot that you occasionally use for real transportation needs. So there you have it, 3 levels of electric scooter. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'm sure many of you, if you don't already own your own scooter, maybe you've ridden the ones that you can rent. Maybe you're curious about buying one for the first time. I think any of these 3 choices, honestly, are good choices as long as you fit the criteria I laid out. If you're a heavier adult like myself, stay away from the Ion Voyager, but you won't go wrong with the other 2. Or do you have another electric scooter of your own that you really like and want to rep in the comments? Let me know what you think, and maybe I'll look into that scooter next. Make sure to hit like if you've enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to see more scooter reviews. I'll be bringing to you soon the new generation GOTRAX, as well as that super coveted UScooters Booster GT. That thing's a monster. I cannot wait. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.